everybody. Welcome to our Facebook Live. It is Monday, October 20th. I can't believe it. Christmas is like 9 weeks away. Not to give anybody anxiety, but do me a favor, jump in here in the comments section, say hello, tell me where you're from, and let me just tell you right up front, this is going to probably go over a little bit longer because this is going to be really, really fun today, and I want to allow some time for this. If you have to jump off, I get it. Jump off, but you can always find the replay in my Facebook page, on my website at PamelaPalanza.com, or on my YouTube channel. That being said, my name is Pam Palanza, and if you're here for the first time, welcome. I'm a parenting mentor focusing on common sense behavior management for neurotypical children aged 2 to 12. And today we're going to talk about ways that you can keep your children entertained when, say, you or they have to go to the doctor's office or the grocery store. You need to take them with you, or you just need 5 minutes at home for your sanity, to yourself, right? We've all been there. So I'm going to show you some things that I did with my grandchildren this weekend. We kind of put them through a little test or beta test with this stuff. And I'm going to show you how easy this is to do. Now, my husband always says, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And I spent 20 years working in early care education. I was a teacher, consultant, trainer, coach, spent a lot of time, 40 years in the industry, but 20 of that actually going in and working with teachers. And that was one thing I always said to them is set your classroom, yourself up for success, and then the children. Because why would you not want to? Why would you want to create problems for yourself? And I see that a lot. People, even parents do that a lot. Not intentionally. They're not being mean. They're, just trying to make things difficult for everybody. They just don't know the strategies. So we're going to talk about that. Now, before we get into that, because I have a lot of good stuff to show you, I do have to tell you, I have notes and I've got to check off what I've told you. The workshop for How to Stop Yelling and Start Connecting, registration is officially open as of the 18th. So if you were on the waiting list, you should have been notified. If you were not, you now can register. Okay, it's open. There's a nominal fee for it. It's on November 13th from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know a lot of you are in different time zones. I get that. So I have followers all over the world. I love you all. I can't be everywhere, though, unfortunately. So there will be a recording available afterwards for purchase on my website. Okay, probably the next day. Now, let me just do a disclaimer here. I do charge for the workshop. And I'm not going to sell you anything after. I'm not going to say, here's my workshop, and then buy something. That's not how I work. So there are people that run their businesses where they offer free workshops, and then you get email after email after email after email trying to get you to buy stuff from them. And that's fine. That's how they run their business. That's not how I do mine. Okay, I'm here to educate and to teach and to help you, and I'm not bombarding you with emails after you come to one of my webinars. Okay, now you will get emails from me occasionally about a new product I've put out or service, or you will probably get an email next week as a reminder about the workshop, because I want people to get in before it fills up. But I'm not bombarding you with emails. That's why I charge. Those people make a lot of money on the back end. So they do the workshops for free, and then you get email after email after email, and then finally you go, okay, I'll buy something. And that's great. They make a lot of money. That's not how I operate. Okay, here we go. Hi, Marie. Okay, so here we go. These are items that I purchased from the dollar store. Now, the ones I'm going to demonstrate for you today, most of these, some I had around the house. Now, I am a huge believer in not spending a lot of money on this stuff. And these are like household objects that your children are going to need to use their creativity and their imagination for. These are not things you, like one use, like a toy you push a button, or stickers they stick on a piece of paper, big deal. No. These are things that are going to make them have to stop and think about how they're going to use them and come up with multiple ways to use them. It's going to stimulate their creativity and their imagination. Now, I bought these things at the dollar store. I'm a huge fan of thrift stores. Goodwill is like one of my usually weekly stops. I buy toys and games there for my grandchildren, some of them brand new, never used in boxes. I buy clothes at the Goodwill. I'm not ashamed to say that. I love thrift stores. And so take advantage of that. Take advantage of yard sales that you can find stuff inexpensively. Now, the trick to all this is you're going to create a tote bag. I don't care. It can be the plastic bag like I have from the dollar store. You can get cheap tote bags somewhere. you're going to create this bag of items that you put in that they don't get to play with on a regular basis. So these get put away. This gets put up where they can't reach it, and it's only brought out for the specific purpose. Now, if you're going to go to the grocery store, you might want to throw in a snack and a drink in there, maybe even other places, but these items are kept out of reach, and you can change these up. So when you bring these out for your children to use, this is new. This stuff is new for them. And that is what helps keep them engaged. So let's back up a little bit here. Friday, I had my 4-year-old grandson with me at my eye doctor appointment. I usually get him on Friday mornings, and I had scheduled this like 6 months ago. And so I said, come on, you're going with me. My daughter right away is like, are you sure you want to do that? Excuse me. And I said, yes. But I planned for it, okay? So I had him grab some of his trucks, and then I grabbed a couple things to take with me. I grabbed these blocks, okay? These are just, actually they're part of like a Jenga game I think we got at the Goodwill or someone gave us. Took these blocks, a whole bag full of them. And we went in and I dumped them on a table in the waiting room. And I said, here you go. That was it. Didn't say, what are you going to build? Let's build this. How about that? Nothing. I said, nothing. Now, he had his cars. So he looked at me, he said, I need to build a garage. And I said, okay. Now, you may have seen, I put a couple pictures, I think, on Facebook. I said, okay, build your garage. So he built his garage. Now, he built it with 4 sides around it. So I didn't say anything to him other than, Now, here's where you start asking questions, and here's where you get problem solving, and here's where you get a lot of other things happening. Kids love, let me just say, kids learn through senses, through hands-on, through tasting, smelling, touching. That's how they learn, through play. So this is engaging them, but also getting their wheels spinning. So I said, you built a garage, but it has 4 sides. Let's count them. How many sides? He's like, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, see, we're counting. Well, how are they going to get in there? And he looked at me and I said, are your cars, you're going to get a helicopter to bring your cars in and drop them down in the garage? He's like, no. And I said, are they just going to fly in? And he said, no. I said, wow, how are they going to get in the garage? And he goes, we'll build a ramp. Like you, moron. And he took some of the blocks down and he built a ramp. Okay, problem solved. But watch, and he had so much fun with that. But watch this. Not only are these blocks he can do a bunch of things with, but you see the colors on the end? So then we started talking about, I've done this before with him, what colors are these? Then can you categorize these by colors? Because there's like 50 of these blocks. Can you categorize them by color? Put all the same colors together. And then, how many of the red ones do you have? Oh, we go through that whole thing, and what shape is this? Right? Do you know anything around the house that's like this shape? So you start asking questions, and you're trying to keep them engaged so you're not losing your mind while you're sitting in this waiting room. I had to sit 20 minutes in the waiting room. That child was so engaged the whole 20 minutes, there was not a peep out of him. And people were looking at me like, because when you, you know this as a parent, when you walk in the waiting room with your child and your young children, you start getting these looks. You could see it on their face like, oh no, what are we in for? He was so easy. Actually, one older lady came up and started playing with them because she said, I missed my grandchildren, and she was playing with them for half the time. It was great. Okay. Now before we get deeper in this, I want to show you this. This, right here, this is how you're going to tell if an item is safe for your child, if it's a choking hazard. Now, I created a handout that at the end, I'm going to put the link. You can purchase it. Sorry, you're not purchasing it. It's free. I am going to put the link to the workshop if you want to purchase that at the end. But this is how you can tell if an item is a choking hazard. Now, when I did training for teachers, we talked about this. Every classroom I went into, I'd say, get a paper towel roll. You see this? This is something I'm going to show you in a minute. See this? That's a choking hazard. Young children, 3 and under, put this in their mouth. They could choke on this. So get it out of reach of children or supervise it very, very closely. Even with some older children, you're still going to find. Now, the blocks, like this block, okay, that fits through there, but they're not going to put this in their mouth and choke on it, right? I mean, I would hope not. So you have to use your common sense about this. But the handout kind of goes into some more detail on what you should be looking for. Okay, so you all have these around your house, I'm assuming, right? Use that. Okay. Now, the other thing I did, so let me get into this. So I had gotten this ice cube tray or something Goodwill. And these are pieces from a game I think my kids had maybe when they were little. I don't even remember. Hang on. It's like that four square game, you know, where you drop these down in the, and try to get four across. So they're here, all different colors. So I would dump them on the table, and I would have my grandson take them and say, put these by color. And he would just put each one in. I mixed them up, sorry. He'd put these in individually, right? So you see the different colors. And then he'd take the other one, he'd match it with the green. Okay, now he's categorized colors. Then I say, how many blues do you have? How many reds do you have? Follow me here. What else can you make with those? And then he starts stacking them together, and he starts building a tower or something. He just starts building, and then his brain goes off to what these things he can do. What are these things he can make? What can he do with them? Simple, easy, keeps him distracted. And you guys wait. So I'm going to show you the thing out of all of this stuff, because I bought like 15 different things, that was the biggest hit, and you're not going to believe it. Okay. Got him this dustpan. So what I did Sunday, I had all three of my grandchildren Sunday. I slept over Saturday night. I had them from Sunday morning. My daughter left for work at like 6 o'clock in the morning. They were up at 5, and I got home 8 o'clock last night. She's a nurse, 12-hour shift at the hospital. Her husband's out of town. These kids are 4, 6, and 8, and I had to keep them entertained all day, right? I mean, they entertained themselves some, but Grandma was helping out there. And then Saturday, check my Facebook. I kept the 4-year-old busy with some objects I had from the Dollar Tree in my trunk for 30 minutes while his mom watched the soccer games of her son and daughter. This stuff is not hard. Okay, so I said that I laid them out. Yesterday I had my 3 grandkids. I put them at the dining room table, and I would bring these objects out and go, what could you do with this? Okay, they're like, you can sweep things up. You could dig with this. This could be a paintbrush. You could clean up toys. That was just a few things they threw out. Okay, mini blocks. These are mini blocks. This is from the dollar store in the craft aisle. Go look in the craft aisle. They were building blocks with this. They were laying out trails with this. They were counting them up. They were making shapes, all kind of things. Simple stuff. Okay, this, this is a duster, dollar store. You know, it comes with refills. You can give your 18-month-old this and let them dust around the house if you want 5 minutes of sanity. Okay, you can use this to paint with. They could use this to scrub things with. There's so much you can do with this. And it even came with a refill, so you can keep 2 kids busy. Okay, simple stuff. I think I spent $20 at the dollar store. Okay, these are cool. So here you go. I laid these out. These are up in the health and beauty section. I laid these out on the table, and I said, what are you going to do with these? And they all looked at me like, and they're laying them like this, and they're like, I don't know. And I said, And I just looked at them for a minute. I go, they bend. Okay, game changer. They bend. These are hair roller things to roll your hair up. Game changer. They went nuts. Connecting them. They were like twirling them this way. They were making circles. Okay. Tactile. They kept them engaged. Of course, the handy dandy pipe cleaners now for younger children. Be careful because those are sharp on the end. But my 4-year-old grandson was having a ball with those. Okay. Hair clips. Now here we go. So check your housewares section, your health and beauty, and the craft. So these are just little hair clips that, and I used to get bigger ones. The dollar store near me, I was kind of disappointed. They've changed a lot of things. But these things are little hair clips. So they're mini, right? But you get a bag of them. I think there's like 20 of them in there. Okay, so they were clipping them together. They were putting them in their hair. They were kind of connecting them on top of each other. This is great. You see this pincer grasp? It's great for fine motor strength. Now, for younger kids, these are small. So, of course, a choking hazard. So you're not going to use that for younger kids, but you get the bigger clips. What you can do, and what I was looking for, is you get the wooden clothespins. They didn't even have them. Sometimes in the craft section, they'll have the smaller, like about that long wooden ones. And you get them to clasp them onto sides of like a shoe box. Or I said, put them on. They were clipping their shirts. They were putting them in their hair. They had a blast with those. Okay. Then we have the good old craft sticks. Okay, all colors. So what we did again, I just gave them each some. I said, what are you going to make? Make something for me. They were building different stuff with them. And then we categorized them by color. We counted how many they had. We talked about their shape. We talked about uses. Oh, I see you built that. What else do you think you could build with those? Got their brain going. Okay. These flags go down the office supply section. I gave them each a few of the flags. They actually took these and wrote their names on paper, made their names on paper with these flags. pulling them off, sticking them on. They created something with them. They loved these. All right. Now this, again, now this was down in like the party supply stuff. These are just little shot glasses. Of course, you're not going to use them for shot glasses for your children. I would hope not. However, they were stacking them. They stacked them like this. Okay, they stacked them like this. They had a tower of them. They had so much fun with these. They were cracking up and laughing over this, what they could do with these shot glasses. And then you could always use them after if you needed to. Just kidding. All right, we're getting close. Again, these were, I forget where I got these, what aisle. I don't know if it was in the food aisle or the party supply aisle. These are just little tiny cups with lids, okay? So again, we took these, they were stacking them. I think they came with like 10. They were stacking them together on top of each other. Took the lids off. We literally were putting these on the table and flicking these at each other. They were laughing so hard at this. Here's the other thing you can do. You could put an object in here. You could put, again, be careful what it is. You could put different objects in and go, find me the, whatever object is, find me. You could also put objects in here like rice or little beans and you glue this shut. And then it's like, makes music. They were even taking these and doing this. And then my daughter, my granddaughter took it off, took the lids off, and then she was using them like a drum. She was banging them like a drum. There are so many things. But here's the trick. You don't tell them what to do with them. You don't tell them. You don't. You just go, here you go. See what you can do with these. And just let them do it. Okay? All right, here we go. Now this, I have two more to show you. Okay, these were like the two biggest hits of everything. Okay? This tape measure. Down the auto supply aisle. Now let me just tell you, they didn't have them this time, but typically when I go down the auto supply aisle, they had these great big soft sponges. They're like this thick and this long to wash your car with. Well, you take those and you take a sharp knife and you cut them into blocks. And they can play with the blocks. They can throw them at each other. They're not going to hurt. They can throw them at the wall. Okay? I love the auto aisle. And here we go with the tape measure. Now, this is a little sharp, so this would be for older kids. And I know for younger children, they make the little plastic ones, they wind up or whatever. Or you can get the cloth ones. They were running around measuring their arms, their legs, the doorway, the table leg, the chair leg, from the refrigerator to the stove. They had a blast with this thing, and then they push the button. Here you go. Okay, so they're in the waiting room. They can be measuring the table, the chair. You're in the grocery store. You have them in the cart. See, when you take them to the grocery store, you put them in the cart. You give them this bag of stuff. They can be measuring the cart. How wide is it? How long is it? They're having a blast with this. Now, we're almost getting done here. I know I'm going to go a few minutes over. Okay. First of all, let me just tell you, I'm wrapping this up, but if you're a subscriber, look in your hub tomorrow because there's going to be more information on this, okay? So my subscribers get extra content. Check it out tomorrow. Okay. So here's what you got. Here's what you do. This masking tape, you see it's almost gone, was the biggest hit of all of this. I would take off and I would just pull like the length from like the beginning of the dining room to the end. This massive, like 8-foot long piece of tape. And I'd say, there you go. They were taping it from the refrigerator to the stove. They were taping the refrigerator shut. They were taping it on the wall. They were taping it on the floor. They took it and rolled it up and made balls out of it. We literally went outside and they were throwing the balls around in the air. And I actually threw one up in a tree and they weren't around. And then I said, hey, can you guys, I threw a ball up in the tree. Can any of you find it? So then they were running around trying to find it. My granddaughter made a ball out of it. And then she took a longer piece of tape and made like a tail on it, and she was swinging it around. This kept them so engaged. And then I did a video on this too, and this is fun to do. You take a piece of tape like this, you tear it off, you put it around their wrist, and I did it around their ankle. So go look at the video. You put it around their wrist, okay, tape it shut, right? I'm not doing a good job of this. You get the point, right? Then you go for nature walk, and you say pick up whatever you want on there. Acorn, leaf. My grandson put like a twig, like about that long. And I also put it on their ankle. Do you know they were so engaged? They kept asking for more tape. This, $1.25 at the Dollar Tree, kept them more engaged than a toy that I've seen them play with in a long time, because this stimulates their imagination. They can do so much with this. So if you're in the waiting room, they could be taping the chair, they could be taping in the grocery cart, they could be taping stuff. There are so many things that you can get your children to do without spending a lot of money, that is way more creative than those stinking devices that are in their faces, those tablets and those phones that they do not know to be on like that. Let me just wrap this up by saying, so my 6-year-old, so they got up Sunday morning, mom's already gone, and I said, I'm taking you for donuts, because they don't get stuff like that normally. But I was there, I was taking them for donuts, and I let my daughter know that. And so I said, now mind you, 4, 6, and 8, go comb your hair, get dressed, brush your teeth, make your beds. They ran upstairs, okay? And I walked up for a minute to see something, and I said to my granddaughter, I said, you need to go make your bed. And she said, oh, Mommy does it. I said, go make your bed. It didn't have to be perfect. I made them just pull the covers up. Life skills that they're learning, right? So then I said, okay, well, you guys are getting your dress. Now you sit here, and I'll put the TV on for you for 5 minutes, because, again, they don't get TV, like rarely. And if they do, it's very limited times. And it's when mom's like having to do something real quick. So I said, I'll let you watch TV for 5 minutes so I can go get dressed, and then we're going to go for Dunkin'. And my 6-year-old grandson goes, donuts and TV on the same day? Woohoo! He was so excited. He's 6 years old. It was so fun. So my point of all this is don't make yourself crazy trying to plan things. But get creative things that are they're household stuff. Go down the aisles, like the auto supply, the beauty supply, the houseware stuff, and, the schools, like the office supplies. Just go and grab things without thinking of them. The other thing is, I used to get pom-poms, those little bags of pom-poms in the craft section. They're different sizes and colors. And then you get a pair of tweezers, like those big tweezers, and the kids can pick them up and put them the same sizes together. Now here's your teaching them concepts, right? You're getting small, medium, large. Then you can color categorize them. Then you can count them. There's so many things you can do, and that's the point. It has more than one purpose, more than just that phone where they're watching a video and rotting their brain. They're creative. They're using their imagination, hands-on, because that's how kids learn through play. Okay, I'm going to put the links in here for the workshop and for the handout. So the handout's ready to go. You download that for free. The workshop, the link is on there with all of the details. Like I said, it's November 13th from 8 to 9 p.m. And it's how to stop yelling and start connecting. And the reason I chose to do this one first, because I'm going to do monthly workshops. The reason I chose to do this one first is because I hear so many parents asking me, how do I learn to stop yelling at my children? And what I say is, you've trained them that you need to yell before they're going to listen. So we're going to teach you how to change that, okay? All right, in December there will not be a workshop because, no, it's too crazy for that. So we'll pick up in January. This is going to be the first one, kind of like a test, and then we'll pick it up in January. Let me check the comment sections real quick, and then I'll put these links. Okay, someone from Pennsylvania, good. From the UK, hello. And let me just tell you, for those of you that are early care educators, hello, I just gave you a gold mine. Download. Okay, the UK, yeah, masking tape was amazing, Chanello, like the best. Okay, hello. All right, good. All right, so I'm going to go in here right now. Let me put the link to the, I have to move all this stuff out of my way real quick. Let me put the link to the choking hazard thing, because this is really important. And yeah, you don't want to have to deal with your child choking. So this is what you're going to do, is download this free thing, and feel free to share this with other parents, because it's so easy. Just get a toilet paper roll holder and check a toy, and you would be surprised at what they try to put in their mouth that you don't think it's going to fit. Yeah, you'd be surprised. So never, wait a minute, let me just make sure that's going right. Choking hazard. Let me see if I've got this right. Boom, let's see if it went out. it should pop up, and you should just be able to click on that. It's going to ask for your email address. Pop it in. Oh, there it is. Good, good, good. So download that for free. That's a freebie. Now, this is a workshop that's paid. And again, it's an hour long. And if you're not in the time zone or you're not available that day, there will be a recording available afterwards for purchase on the site. So let me put that link here. I have limited spots in that. I'm not just saying that, like limited spots, get it now. All those tricks people use. I only have a license for so many on the Zoom. So once that's full, it is full. All right. And I want these workshops to be educational. The live one will also allow time for Q&A at the end, which is what I like about that, because again, I'll get a lot of parents asking me questions about this, and I can't answer everybody's questions. It's just me. I don't have a team. There's just me, and there's only so many hours in a day, and I can't possibly answer everybody. So I thought this was kind of like the best way to address it, and we'll allow time at the end for Q&A. So that people have the opportunity to ask those questions. That won't be on the replay, obviously. I mean, you'll hear them, but you won't have an opportunity to ask. Okay, yelling, and Lord have mercy. I think I gave birth to my youngest child faster than these links of these URLs are. All right, let's see if it pops. There it is. There, see that woman? That's how some parents feel. A lot of parents feel. I remember those days. All right, y'all. I've talked long enough, but I wanted to share this with you because I know so many of you just feel overwhelmed and frustrated when you have your young children and you have to go do things, and you're just like, oh my God, this is going to be, like you anticipate before you even go in, like, oh my gosh, this is going to be, I'm going to have a headache by the time I leave here. But you don't have to. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. But if you plan, you're way ahead of the game. All right, y'all. I hope you have a good one. Hit those links, and I'll see you next week. And remember, hug and love your babies.